Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Andy Burrows, and this is our top 10 show. As you can see, I'm joined by one of my co-hosts today, my illustrious co-host, good friend, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, happy Friday to you, sir. How's things, buddy?
Happy Friday. Yeah, we are all good. We haven't done a pod on our own like this in a while.
No, it sounds like we've gone back. Oh, we've gone old school already. We've drawn it back, mate. We love having Dave and Parker, but yeah, we've gone a bit old school for this.
Well, we couldn't have the AEW Ikes on this one, could we?
Mate, I mean, it's top 10.
For Dave's one with the Undertaker.
Top 10 commentators of all time. AEW haven't even got top 10 wrestlers of all time. So that's shots fired already. That took me 25 seconds. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Parker. Anyway, top 10 commentators of all time. Adam, this is such an underrated part of wrestling before we get into it. I said to you last week, I think, when we were chatting, when we were at Rev Pro on Sunday, because we were very fortunate at Rev Pro. The commentators were literally right behind us. Yeah. So we kind of got what we're used to on TV, but we got to be there live. Now, I said to you when I went to Money in the Bank, it's great attending these live events, but you do miss the commentary, and they're so undervalued, and that's for any sport, whether it's football, NFL, basketball, baseball, anything. They make it what it is. Don't get me wrong, the sports people, the wrestlers, they make the show. But I felt watching Money in the Bank, I was looking at Michael Cole and I could see how mad he was going, and he was really into it. And that's why I kind of like the cricket. For those that are over in the UK, you can have your little headset, and you can hear the comment. That might be a good idea for wrestling moving forward. We might take away from fan chants and stuff like that, but I think the commentary teams on all wrestling events are so underrated and not appreciated as enough. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, I like I said, I really loved Money in the Bank, but something for me was just missing. I had to just watch it on my own, and I had to make everything up in my head, and I could kind of visualize what Michael Cole and Wade Barrett was saying, but obviously I couldn't hear them.
Yeah, no, they're definitely undervalued. I mean, they tell the story, don't they? That's the whole point of what they're there to do. For us at home, when we're there, we don't get the luxury. We had, as you say, the very luxury of having Gio behind us, Rev Pro, and you could hear him. Like, some of the things he was saying was making me laugh while I was watching the show, just because he was going absolutely mental behind us. And it actually made that experience for me loads better, because I could hear the commentary and I could hear what's going on. And because also Rev Pro was so new to us, they do kind of, not necessarily intentionally, but the commentator, you can tell when the match is ending, because their tone of what they particularly say, the way they particularly pronounce certain words or say certain things, you can tell a match is ended. So that did help me as well, because I didn't have no clue how these matches were going to end on Sunday.
No, I think if we go back to the London Bethnal Green, I wouldn't mind getting them seats again, just so I can hear Gio and the commentary team. I thought it was...
I'd sit there all the time.
It was really good, yeah. Next time they're back at Bethnal Green, which I think they're announcing the weekend of the anniversary show, and they're going to be back at Bethnal Green, mate. So me, you and Rachel have to keep an eye out for tickets. But let's get into our top 10 commentators of all time, Adam. I will let you kick this off, my friend. Number 10, who you got and why?
Number 10, I got Jerry Lawler. He's number 10. He's low, probably be a bit controversial. But he was funny, and that's why. I think I remember one thing when he was doing one at WrestleMania, and the Sheik was walking to the ring. They're doing the gimmick battle royal. And he said the time that Sheik gets to the ring, it'll be WrestleMania 98. And
his one-liners are brilliant.
It's just the one-liners for me that makes it. I mean, he's low. He's 10. There's reasons for it. Other people would be above him, but he needs to be in the top 10.
Yeah, no, Jerry Lawler, he's in my top 10. He's not quite as low. He's not quite as high. But yeah, him and JR, that was pretty much our childhood, really. Monday Night Raw. It was them, for a certain age demographic. That was the Attitude Era. It was Jerry Lawler and JR, and it kind of evolved a little bit later on with Paul Heyman and Eddie and a few others, Michael Cole coming in. But yeah, good start, mate. Good start. My number 10 is Larry Zbyszko.
Oh,
I loved WCW, mate. For me, he made that. I know he had like Eric Bischoff and Tony Schiavone, but Heenan. I absolutely, and Heenan. I absolutely loved Larry Zbyszko. He's one of my favorite commentators of all time. He was another Jerry Lawler for me. Some of the stuff he used to come out with, and he used to feed off Heenan and stuff. I think that's really important to like a commentary team. You have to be able to feed off each other. I mean, like you say, we mentioned JR and Jerry Lawler there. You go look at Michael Cole and Wade Barrett now. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole have this like bromance going on. You have to feed off the party you've got. And for me, Larry Zbyszko made the WCW commentary team. I thought he was incredible, and he really sold like the Monday Night Wars, and you could tell he actually loved WCW, you know, and he was very old school. He's a great wrestler back in the day.
Was.
You know, I mean,
very good.
you guys talk NWA all the time. He was very much a big part of that, if I'm a little mistaken, the NWA and you know the territories back in the day as it was. Larry Zbyszko is one of the greatest names in wrestling history. Yes, for me, I've got Larry at number 10, mate. But who's number 9?
For me, it's Tony Schiavone. Now, I think at the moment, I don't. I'm not a fan of his AEW stuff. I just think he's always like, "Oh, it's great here. This match is great." The fan, fuck off. That's why he's a bit lower on my list now, because he's a bit too fucking tongue in arse now. Whereas in WCW, he was a lot more story-based driven. He did give the line away when he was there, saying, you know, you change over the channel now.
Mick Foley's about to win the heavyweight title. Everyone went,
people bump. Yeah, turned over to Raw. I think he's great. I still think he's one of the best in the top 10. I'm just not a fan of his run right now in AEW.
No, good. Did he do TNA for a little bit?
Good question. Maybe we'll ask.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm sure I remember maybe a little stint. I can't remember. Number 9 for me is Jesse Ventura.
He's on my list.
Yeah, I mean, this is all. I find when we do this list, you can always tell the age bracket that we are.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had a tweet coming. I know I put the tweet out a bit late. It's my kind of own fault. That's why people can't get involved as much this week. But it's very subjective. Going through some people's lists, you can tell when they were born. It's like when we talk to Parker on the show sometimes, and you can tell the age demographic that he grew up in. And like me, you and Dave might be different, but then I'll go and chat to other people and they're like, no, you know, John Cena's my favorite wrestler because I grew up with him. And I'm thinking, Jesus, I am old because I grew up with Warrior. You know, and commentary teams are the same. But for me, Jesse Ventura growing up, he had no filter. I don't know if he would get away with some of the things that he said now. I'm not sure you could put him on TV now. I think our SummerSlam 88, 89 for me stands out when, you know, some of the things he used to say about Hogan. He wasn't very PC. I don't think you could put him on TV right now. But and again, another one that transitioned from wrestling to the commentary booth. And we see it a lot now. Yeah. You know, you do see it a hell of a lot now. We've got Wade Barrett on SmackDown back. You've had Macho Man Randy Savage done Raw, Roddy Piper done Raw.
Yeah.
A lot of superstars. CM Punk, do you remember? He
was great.
He was
Jericho's been doing it on
Jericho does. Yeah, Jericho does Rampage. It is. Yeah, it's a transition thing. But for me, Jesse Ventura, man, hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Number 8, who we got?
Number 8 for me, and I'm more of a fan of his work now than I was way back when. You've already touched on, he's Michael Cole. So I wasn't really a big fan of Cole when he first came in. Yeah, he's 8. Yeah, I know.
8?
Yeah, I know. Well,
I didn't think Dave was here this week.
Well, you know,
8?
For me, I just wasn't a fan of his work at the start. Now, big fan now. It feels like now there's maybe this is Vince's, I don't know, where there's a leash off of him. And maybe McAfee brought that out of him or made, you know, people out of
Vince isn't in his ear anymore.
Yeah, or not as much, because you can kind of tell when it's been force-fed and you know, now, as you say, you see him jumping up and down, and he wasn't doing that 20 years ago when he first came in. And he was just getting the piss taken out of him by The Rock.
That was so funny when he put the towel over his head when they were
but yeah, so I wasn't the reason why he is so is I wasn't a fan of his early work, but now I really enjoy him on commentary. So if I was doing it like, you know, the last 2 years, he'd be near the top.
Interesting. Okay, we'll see why later. Number 8 for me. You might have to Google this, listeners, people watching on YouTube. Adam, you're gonna know. Lord Alfred Hayes.
No.
Dude, man, maybe it was the English thing in me. Do you remember Inside the WWF?
Yes.
He used to host that with Ray. What was now become Raven? I think
Scotty
later on.
Polo, wasn't it?
Scotty
Or-
Polo, and then I think Raven, and but Lord Alfred Hayes. I think he Saturday Morning Superstars. Again, this comes back to my childhood.
Yeah.
I absolutely, they played on the fact that he was English, and it was all very much, the skits that they did. Super Tape 92, Super something 92. Oh my god. I think it was called Super Tape 92. I have to Google it. And the Tuesday night in Texas, I remember him doing that. And just the old school events that I absolutely love this dude, man. I mean, go and Google Lord Alfred Hayes. Go on YouTube, type in Lord Alfred Hayes WWF. For me, he was just pure gold, man. I mean, he was him, Gorilla Monsoon, all them guys back in that day, Jesse Ventura, all them guys together just made wrestling for me in my childhood. And again, it is subjective to when you grew up. So yeah, for me, mate,
you believe what you hear. He's got some rope as well, if you know what I mean. If you listen to Shoot interviews,
I heard that's where Damien was stored when Jake the Snake didn't have anywhere to But number 7, mate, who you got?
So this is going to divide a lot of opinion, but for me, like when I watched NXT, I've got a monsoon behind me. I don't know if you can hear it.
I'll go on here, mate. Don't worry, it's
so,
hammering down with it.
Yeah. So 7 for me is Mauro Ranallo. Because when I was in when NXT first, like Black and Gold, you need a commentator that is captivated, and he was like, it may have been a bit over the top sometimes when he used to go "Mamma Mia" and things like that, but you want the commentary to get you captivated, to make you enjoy and make those moves that when they hit those big moves, it needs to transcend. Because obviously you've got to remember, some people, we're not blind, obviously not, but people are, and people can only listen and watch with their ears. So to have someone like Mauro Ranallo who would come in and make these moves sound so much bigger and so much better, he has to be on my top 10 for me because of that. I just wish he was around more. I know he's got the mental health and stuff like that. I just wish he was doing more commentary for a wrestling company.
Yeah, no, he was. You make an interesting point there. Actually, I've always thought about this. You say, I'm generally not taking a piss now. You got blind people. Have you ever amazed you that wrestling have never tried to be on the radio live? Imagine WrestleMania. You can't. You're a blind person. As much as you're watching listening to the telly. You know what I mean? But radio for me, have you ever thought that wrestling on the radio would be interesting?
Would be,
especially back in the day when you didn't have WWE Network, you didn't have all the access. Could you imagine? Like, I'd post an NFL show, and it used to be on the Forces radio here in the UK. That's how we got when it first started to listen to the NFL. You had Forces radio, and obviously now you can listen to all sport on the radio. But how do you think wrestling would transcend on the radio?
Yeah, I think it would really be who the person was doing it. As I said, with Mauro, you would.
That's what I'm saying. Mauro, it'd be perfect.
He would be perfect for it. I think it would work. I just think you just need someone like him to make it work.
Stumbled on something there. Hitting the Turnbuckle does radio. Anyway,
we've got faces for radio.
You're not wrong there. Number 7 for me, you've already mentioned Jerry Lawler.
Yeah,
number 7 for me. Don't really need to say anymore. It was pretty much. A lot of people might have had him higher. A lot of people, like yourself, you had him a little bit lower. But for me, Jerry Lawler, JR. Nothing really more needs to be said. Some of his one-liners, and it was Jerry Lawler and the Attitude Era. For those that don't know, and obviously are new to wrestling, and when he started watching in like 2002, there was a lot of flesh on show during the Attitude Era. Let's just say it like that. And Jerry Lawler absolutely loved it.
He had a field day, didn't he?
He had an absolute field day. Go and look at some of the skits that he did with Sable and Tori Wilson and the Biggie. Kat, she had a little wardrobe malfunction, and she ended up falling in some mud, if I remember correctly. Unforgiven, I think I want to say, the pay-per-view.
Probably.
They were married, weren't they?
Yes.
Jerry Lawler? Yeah. So, when that happened, I think they were married. But, every bikini contest or anything like that they did during the Attitude Era, Jerry Lawler was like, yep, I'm judging this, and it just made it for me. We were all 18, 19 growing up. So number 7 for me is Jerry Lawler, mate. Number 6, who we got?
You've already mentioned Jesse Ventura.
Okay.
Growing up, I mean, everyone, he was always either a Hogan or a Warrior fan, weren't you? And he was he just didn't like any of it, did he? He, as you said, he would literally, be very.
I still don't think he likes Hulk Hogan, to be fair.
He still doesn't.
I still think he's carrying around beef for Hogan. They generally hated each other.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people who've got beef with Hogan, but that is what it is. We don't know. We weren't there, so we have no
It
opinion.
wasn't for. I said this to someone yesterday. I was talking to Freddie, who I host my NFL show with,
Yeah.
the Bunker. We were just chatting about wrestling, and I said, without Hulk Hogan, I don't think you have wrestling nowadays.
Well, I think that's a good point.
I don't think you have it as much as you. I don't know. I think he gave a lot of us. It'd be interesting to see the direction if they had gone to the $1 Million Man and said, right, you're going to do what Hulk Hogan did, or the Warrior, or the Texas Tornado, or something like that. But yeah, I just but yeah, him and Jesse Ventura. No, they did. I'm pretty sure they still don't get on.
Probably.
I don't think you'll ever see them two in a room. So no, number 6. Good choice, mate. Number 6. Number 6 for me. Already mentioned him, Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
I'm purely going off the WCW days. I'm with you kind of on the AEW. He's very watered down and he lives for the Sting moment still. But WCW, he was their version of JR.
Yeah, he was.
When it was him, it was Bischoff, it was Larry Zbyszko, it was Bobby Heenan. They, for me, were WCW. When I think WCW, but a lot of people will be like Bischoff, Goldberg. But for me, Tony Schiavone made WCW every Monday Night Nitro. He made it. He was the intro and stuff like that. He's kind of winding down a little bit now. I mean, his AEW contract, I think, is up in a couple of months.
I think he'll re-sign it.
Yeah, I think if he's got any sense of.
Well, his wife said, "If you go WWE, I'm leaving you." That's why he went to AEW in the first.
Really? My wife says that. My wife says that to me all the time. I don't watch any more wrestling. But I'd like to see him go back to not maybe be a spoon-fed as much. And they say AEW's off the cuff, but they've got whoever, Tony Khan in their ear, whoever, Dean Malenko. I know you've got a lot backstage. Daniel, yeah. So I would like to see the old school Tony Schiavone. Let him just be him. I'm kind of with you there. I think AEW has seen for those who never watched WCW, of a certain age, he was the Monday Nitro. So yeah, for me, number 6 is Tony Schiavone. So let's break into the our top 5, mate. This will be interesting. Mine's definitely gonna be interesting. Who you got at number 5, mate?
The voice of ECW, Joey Styles.
I got him in my honorary mentions.
Oh, he didn't make your top 10.
No,
you're right, Dave. Isn't it?
Yeah, Dave's listening to this now, going, "Fucking what? You having a go at me? You didn't even put him in your top 10." He's in my honorary mentions, and you'll see why. Purely because of my age.
Yeah, I just thought again. I thought he's a lot similar to Ronaldo, in a sense that he would make. Is obviously I can't do it because my throat's playing up. It's like, oh, there you go. Yeah. That's as good as you can get it from me tonight. Yeah. That was. Styles was just the king of ECW. He was ECW. Again, he made those impactful moves sound like they hurt. And when they got put through tables and glass and Christ knows what else, he would amplify the voice, which would in turn tell the story. And again, I go back to the being blind. Yeah, you've got Jamal Joey Styles on there. When the big move.
What's going on, what's happening. Yeah. Wrestling radio, mate. Wrestling radio.
Yeah, wrestling radio.
While we're doing honorary mentions, I don't know. He might be in the rest of your picks. I'm going to throw Vince McMahon into the kettle.
It wasn't in nothing of mine.
Do you remember how long he was on Raw for when it started?
Yeah.
We're talking years.
Yeah,
that he was on Raw for, and a lot of people didn't put 2 and 2 together and realize that he was that was kept very
low key
for years. That was kept. Don't get me wrong. This is long before internet, dirt sheets, mobile phones. This was like we didn't have any of that back then. We just watched Raw, and then slowly the internet come on. But Vince McMahon for me was very underrated as a commentator, and he was on Raw. Jeez, how many years did he do Raw for?
Quite a few. I mean, he was always
6,
maybe. Yeah,
I mean, from when it started, like when it debuted in New York, and then obviously as it moved on and he progressed into storylines and it comes to the Vince McMahon character, yada. But just solely alone, like him and Macho Man together, were comedy gold.
Yeah,
go back and watch on the WWE Network some of them Monday Night Raws when it was Macho Man and Vince. Amazing. But yes, I just wanted to give an honorary mention for Vince McMahon. He's probably not going to make anyone's top 10, but honorary mentions, I just thought I'd throw him out there. Number 5 for me is Mr. Mike Tenay.
He's in my honorable mentions.
I'm halfway through today's Impact. I haven't watched it all, and then I'm going to then I'm going to jump on and listen to you and Dave review. For me, he pretty much was Impact Wrestling. Him, Don West, I think he's very underrated as a commentator. Very underrated. I mean, you do not know how hard I'm trying to get him on this podcast, but trying to reach out to him through socials is nigh impossible. So if somehow anyone is listening to this, Mike Tenay, I would die to sit down and pick his brains for 30 minutes about the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
I just think he was such a smart man. I think he carried that Impact show, him and Don. Don used to go off on a tangent, but Mike Tenay was... I thought he was really, really good, and I thought he was really underrated. I mean,
you got him confused with Schiavone because he was in WCW for a bit.
There you go. You've got it. Yeah, you are right. But I don't think he's completely wiped the slate clean with wrestling now. I think he's not. You don't see him anywhere. I mean, some people usually they might pop up on AEW, Ring of Honor. Some convention. Yeah, some do like stuff over here in the UK conventions, but he's pretty much gone cold turkey. I mean, that's why. He's on social media, he's on Twitter, but doesn't seem to. A lot of people, some people are like that, aren't they? Once they're done with the business,
they're done.
And I thought he was so good in Impact, man. But number 4,
number 4 for me is this is before my time, but I've watched enough old school wrestling to appreciate him. And that's Gordon Soley, who was the best announcer ever.
Jesus, you've gone way back, mate.
I've listened to some of the stuff that he's done. Really old school days. He made.
Did he do Canadian Stampede Wrestling at one point?
I think he done something along those lines. Yeah.
Something around that era, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So he was like basically who my number 1 will be, which we'll get to. It's a bit obvious for anyone out there who my number 1's going to be, but he was the best up until my number 1.
My number 4, he could have. I had him. I chopped and changed. This is 1, 4, and 3. I switched loads, but for me, one of the greatest ever, Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, he's in mine as well. We're going to get to
for those that don't know why the Gorilla position is called the Gorilla position in wrestling. It's named after Gorilla Monsoon. Also, one of the greatest wrestlers.
Yes,
of that era. Obviously, didn't make any of our top 10s. I never saw him wrestle, but from all the stuff I've read about him, he's been in all the wrestling books you read. Bret Hart's, I've read DDP. They all kind of mention him at some stage. For me, Gorilla Monsoon, he was the first person I thought really to get the business. Yeah. And to get what he was portraying on TV what he was watching had to come across on the TV. Some of the commentators when I was growing up were very like, it's an Irish whip and it's a chop. Gorilla Monsoon is what kind of Michael Cole is now.
Yeah.
Very animated. He was into it. Him and Bobby Heenan had probably, I'd say, the best chemistry for me. We talked JR and Lawler. Chemistry, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, they did a lot of inside the WWF, the Saturday morning show as well.
Oh, they're brilliant.
WWF superstars and stuff like that. Saturday night, what's it called? They bought the pay-per-view back not long ago.
Saturday main event.
Yeah, Saturday night main event. They used to do all things like that. But he for me was the first kind of person that got what fans wanted to hear. And he's just incredible. Sorely missed. I'd love to know what he would think of the product now. I always think that about a lot of people that have passed on in a lot of sports. I kind of think, oh, wow. And when we interview people, you're like, oh, what wrestler from your era would you like to see in this one? I'd love to know what like a Gorilla Monsoon, Lord Alfred Hayes, some of these guys, what they would think of what's going on now with wrestling. And would they fit into the current social media-y type of... I don't know if they would.
No, I think it'd be difficult. I don't know. A couple of them would think.
Let's get into our top 3s then, buddy. Who have you got at top? Who's number 3?
It wouldn't be Gorilla without Bobby, right?
We could do this quickly then. My number 3 is Bobby Heenan.
My number 3 is Bobby Heenan. And
dude, man, what a!
I wish he was still around. I really do. He's so funny, and you're like,
he's to me what Jim Cornette is to you.
Yeah, probably.
I would, if he would, like you say, if he was here now and hosted a podcast and done live talk, and it's so sad the way that his life ended and stuff. But he was Bobby Heenan until the end. Apparently, he was. You only got to see. I know he was unrecognizable and all that, but he was Bobby Heenan until the end. I'm with you, mate. I would love it if he. I'd love to know what he would make of what's going on in WWE with the whole Roman Reigns thing. Could you imagine him on commentary with Michael Cole? or JR
Priceless.
on right now and stuff like that. It would be absolutely him and JR they done WrestleMania 9 together, the Togos.
Yeah, that was one of the
Remember
things.
Heenan? Remember Heenan dressed
Yeah,
up in his Togo? Him and JR.
yeah.
That was JR's first WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know, because they done the thing where Crush and Doink were having a fight. There was a second Doink, and Heenan was like, "I didn't see that," and then like Joe went, "Well, I did," and he was like, "Well, you're from Oklahoma." He was like, "What was that got to do with it?" And the other one was when he said, "Hulk Hogan's my second favorite theme song. All the rest are tied."
Yeah.
But then the other thing was him and Monsoon. You mentioned the Saturday morning prime time.
Prime time. There you go.
They done a skit where they was in like the Wild West and he fell off a roof.
Yep.
Fuck.
They done so many skits with him where he was just, and I reckon he was just one of them guys that they went to him, Bobby, we want to do, yeah, do it. I don't think you'd get to the end of the sentence and be like, yeah, you know, you've seen him in bunny suits, you've seen him in all sorts of.
Oh, well, the Warrior chased him in
the Warrior, yeah, the Weasel suit, and he was. Remember when he's chasing his tail,
yeah.
ravishing Rick Rude and Mr. Just pure. And the man is an absolute genius. Again, for those that haven't, go on the network, just go and watch some of his stuff. But yeah, he's my number 3 as well, mate. Let's do our top 2 then. Who is your number 2, mate?
Well, this is where you put him at 4. I put him at 2. Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay. Yeah. No, mate. I could have. You're seeing it. Yeah. I was flippy floppy.
He was, Gorilla and Heenan together. I mean, it's just like watching Raw with JR and the King. You know, he was just like, and just having them two together was amazing. Again, it's a shame that they're not here now to, see the product. But it's fantastic. I loved it with them guys. Growing up with them two, and then teenager years with JR and the King was just brilliant.
Yeah, it was. My number 2 is Jim Ross. No, Dave's not here. Just JR's JR. I mean, he's going to go down in history. He took on from the Attitude Era and then went on, and he's still doing it now in AEW. I know he's not the JR of old, but if you think back to some of the iconic matches that we've seen, Mick Foley getting thrown off Hell of a Cell, that wouldn't be as good a segment without that commentary. He's killed him. By God, he's cut him in half. He's killed him. Yeah. Him and Stone Cold, the chemistry they had. And Austin brought him back to call a match, didn't he, at WrestleMania? Yeah. He'd had the cerebral palsy, and Austin said to him, "I'll do this match." I think it was his last one with the Rock.
Rock.
Yeah, so he said, "I'll do it." And look, I'm retiring, but I'm only retiring with JR on comms. And he not long had the cerebral palsy. You could tell that, and he come back and he didn't miss a beat. And he, for me, him and some of the Stone Cold matches that he's called, and I know they had a great friendship, but I'm so pleased to see it. His books are incredible, by the way. Anyone that hasn't read JR's books, he's got another one coming out next year. He's wrote a 3rd one. I think he tweeted about it. But yeah, Jim Ross, man. I mean,
that's another one we'd like on the show if you could.
Could you imagine? You would need to get a couple of hours with him. Yeah, anyone listening to this.
Yeah, weekend with JR.
Weekend with JR, man. It'd be one of them. We've had a few episodes where you just sit EC3 when we were just sitting here like two fans.
I don't know, with Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas, yeah, you could tell when I watched you with Shane Douglas, you're just listening. The thing is with these people, they're not just talking for the sake of talking. They're talking and you're just so engaged. I can imagine someone like a JR, Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, put them in a room, light the fuse, ask them some questions, and you'd just be there for hours upon hours. Could you imagine some of the road trips that some of these people have had in wrestling? No. We've been very fortunate to interview some great wrestlers, and we are interviewing some more great wrestlers coming up. It'd be interesting to ask them about some of the stories that they've heard just from other people on the road. Number 2, mate, for me is JR. Let's do it then. Number 1, top 10 commentators of all time. Here we go. Who is number 1, Mr. Cousins, and why?
JR. He is. You're right. We know it's not the same JR now on AEW, but I can't take away. I mean, you mentioned a couple of the things there when he said he's broken in half, and I still remember when Vince McMahon pulled off and he was the higher power, and he was like, "You son of a bitch!"
Or the thing up,
yeah. He's the amount of times him and Triple H and nearly got into it as well when they were, part of the storyline, and he was just another one that could. Cool. Again, I go back to using that same thing. He was another one where if you was listening to it and not watching it, you would be captivated just because of how he come across and everything that he done. And he's also a great talent scout. You look at the people that he brought into the business. He is wrestling in a lot of ways. Again, it's a shame that AEW isn't getting the Jim Ross that we know and love.
No, I hope he gets back to like good health and stuff. I mean, I know he fair play to him for turning up to Forbidden.
Oh, he's had cancer and everything. He had the
skin cancer. He had the fall at Forbidden Door. His eye was all puffy.
Yeah.
His cheek was out here. He could barely talk, and he still. But for that just goes to show what a man he is. He turned up to Forbidden Door. He wasn't the JR that we all know and love, but he was still. He's got enough credit in the bank for us to go. Do you know what, Jim? You've turned up. You've done it, and I hope to see him back. I would love to see him back on Dynamite full time.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can because of the schedule, and obviously I know he's got a lot going on with the JR barbecue sauce and stuff. He's setting that up, and he is kind of winding it down a little bit. Just one last year of Jim full on JR, and that might help the likes of Shivani. It might bring him out more. And I'm a fan of Taz, and
I'm not a fan of Excalibur.
Excalibur for me, nah, he doesn't.
And Meltzer gives
the only thing he's good at is when he says it continues it picture and picture, and he can reel off where they're going in the next couple of weeks.
It's just always funny how he finds a Japanese word for every move.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Okay, Dave, I'm really sorry when you watch this back, mate. Number one for me, top 10 wrestling commentator of all time, Mr. Michael Cole.
I thought he was going there.
He's grown on me so much, man. I absolutely love this dude. From someone, you have to remember, this is someone that started just doing backstage skits with Coachman and stuff like that. And like you say, he spent about 2 years taking the piss out by The Rock. I just think, again, it's going to be controversial. Yeah, I get it. But I think and you only have to see, when you see people tweet wrestlers and current talent and stuff. Sasha Banks put out a really nice tweet about Michael Cole a few months ago.
Bailey loves him, even though
Bailey absolutely adores him. And I think what he does for the talent, I mean, I think he's winding it up in the next couple of years. From what he's been saying, and he's been on social media, he's been quite open about it. He says, like, look, I've still got another couple of years, but I
think he's another one about his wife when he wants him home.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to remember these guys, all right, they're not on the road as much as the talent, because he'll do. You have to remember, he used to do Raw, SmackDown, all the pay-per-views.
He's backstage though, isn't he? Doing
he's a lot of so he probably is maybe on the road as much as as the talent. But for me, when they put that video out of Money in the Bank when he was looking at the screen, they've done the same for WrestleMania. Honestly, I think he's so underrated as I absolutely love the man. I couldn't imagine SmackDown without him now. We're probably like we all were with JR and The King growing up and Bobby Heenan, all the people that we mentioned. It's hard to imagine wrestling without them. And we say that about it was hard to imagine Hulk Hogan moving on. And then we transitioned to Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Mick Foley, Triple H. All them guys now have all retired, Shawn Michaels. And now people that then Cena come along and he retired. And that is the progression, is why we love this sport. I get it. But for me, who's next coming off the production line that is going to be another Michael Cole?
Wouldn't surprise me if they went for Hannafan again. Tom Phillips or Tom Hannafan from Impact. I think he's great.
He's all right. He's good. He's good.
He's on my honourable mention list. I just couldn't put him on.
I'd have him in an honourable mention. I don't know if I can put him in the same bracket as.
I know. I'm talking about someone to replace him.
Replace him, yeah. Honourable mention as well. Paul Heyman.
Oh, Heyman was a great commentator.
What? He done Raw for a long time.
He did.
He done ECW for donkeys, but he was on Raw for a long time in honourable mentions. But for me, mate, Michael Cole. I know. Did someone send in their top 10 to us? I know. It's Michael. Did. I tweeted this out so late. It's Michael.
Yeah, we only got the one response because we didn't tweet it out until about
my bad.
We went on air. But our good friend Josh from 9 plus 1 equals 10 at 9 plus 1 equals 10. His list is very interesting. But he said endless list, but these are the names and voices that he generally loves. So this may not necessarily be the best. It's probably the best that he likes.
His opinion, yeah.
Which he's got Corey Graves at 10. Oh, it's interesting. JBL at 9. Beth Phoenix at 8. McAfee at 7. I like McAfee. I
love McAfee. Hope he comes back.
McGuinness at 6. Nigel McGuinness. He's great on Collision, by the way.
I've seen a lot of bad things about the commentary team on Collision going around recently. Yeah, I was scrolling through some stuff today, and don't get me wrong, I'm not as hyped as Collision as you and Parker and Dave are. I'm kind of getting there, But I think that one of the bright spots is Paddy McGuinness. He's definitely
Paddy McGuinness.
He's definitely not on Collision.
No likey.
No likey.
Yeah.
But McGuinness for me, he makes that show. So yeah, no, Josh.
Yeah.
Good one, mate.
Ronaldo, Marlo Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned. Kevin Kelly.
Yes.
McGuinness's partner.
Honourable mentions for me.
Honourable for him. Yeah.
Mm.
Michael Cole, 4. Jim Ross, 3, and the 2 were obviously he's an Impact Wrestling fan. It was Don West and Mike Tenay. Stopped it.
May Don West rest in peace. Yeah.
He rest in peace. Oh yes.
Yeah. No, Josh. Interesting list. Corey Graves, mate. Ooh, I might have to tweet you about that one, mate. Corey Graves. But no, everyone's list is everyone's list, mate. But no, another top 10 in the books, mate. It's been good. We'll probably try and get another one of these out next week.
We've got loads of top 10s that we got to get.
We've got anyone wants us to do any, just tweet us at HGT Buckle or reach
They'll
out
be down the list. I've got about another 10.
Yeah, Adam's literally booked us up till like after Christmas. But anyone wants us to do top 10, just tweet us and we'll get to it. Don't worry, once we've plowed through Adam's list. But yeah, we're going to keep doing more of these. We'll be back. You'll see us on your screens tomorrow with our SmackDown review. We're going to try, I guess, and squeeze in Slammiversary review.
We will be squeezing Slammiversary.
We've just announced Jake the Snake Roberts will be joining us in August. We've got Diamond Dallas Page joining us in August. We've got Chris Harris joining us next week. We've got a tiny event called Buckle Up happening next Sunday. Don't know who the two idiots are putting that on, but Buckle Up is happening in Borehamwood. There are 16 tickets left. Seriously, if you want to come and watch some of the best UK talent, Rev Pro champions, they're also joining us. We've got a really good interview coming up. This coming, when did I say it was?
Sunday, 8 o'clock.
This Sunday, we're going to drop Dave the Mark, gentleman's name is. Met him at Rev Pro, but huge Rev Pro fan. I've been going through their back catalogue recently. He's pretty much at most events that I see on my screen. So Dave's joining us. Just again, if any fans ever want to jump on, you can just reach out and we'll try and get you on. We're going to just chat to Dave on Sunday about all things wrestling, how he found wrestling, what he likes about wrestling, what he doesn't like. Just a general chat that we're gonna try and put out there. But as always, you can find us on Twitter. You can at HTT Buckle. YouTube, just type in the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. The same for TikTok, the same for Facebook. The amazing Rach does a great job over at our Instagram. Go and check out our Instagram, Hitting the Turnbuckle. But we'll be back on your screens tomorrow. Till then, everybody, buckle down.